students who I'll let introduce themselves.
My name is Jerish Roberts. I'm the Community Outreach Engagement Specialist with Center for Collaborative Planning as well. Work alongside Sandy and our other colleague.
Hi, everyone. My name is Seda. I am also a community engagement specialist.
Thanks, Seda and JT. So you're wondering why are we here? We are here to talk to you about underage drinking and drug prevention. Some tips for parents, some support, trends, what's happening in the world, ways to protect our young people, ways to grow our knowledge. And so we'll be walking you through a lot of information. However, there's a slide deck that can be shared with you, and you can kind of look at it at your convenience. And we ask that you please ask questions. You can put questions in the chat if you're not comfortable speaking out loud, just so that we don't get carried away with our presentation and not covering like the questions that you might be holding on to. And with that, I'm going to share my screen.
As she's doing that, briefly, just going to go over some quick housekeeping rules. Also, if you are able to, we definitely would love to see some faces this evening. If not, we do understand. We definitely the interaction will be greatly appreciated as well. Definitely thank you guys for having us, and we're just going to ask everybody to respect ourselves and each other in the space. Be present as electronics, please. If you silence your electronics or your phones, things like that. One mic, step up, step back. We are going to ask for some information, or if you have any questions, please do so. Feel free to do so. We challenge with care. Humor is always welcome, but never at someone else's expense. And thank you for being on time because we like to end on time, and we know you guys have other things to do to finish your evening and night off. So again, thank you guys for having us, and hope you enjoyed the presentation and learned some information.
Just bear with me for a second. I think we are. Here we go. Move some things out of the way. All right, who are we? We are the Be Bothered movement, and we were created by youth and caring adults to prevent underage drinking and marijuana use in the Sacramento County. Together, we are reshaping how our community views underage drinking and marijuana use. We are funded by the Sacramento County Department of Health Services, Behavioral Health Services, Substance Use Prevention, and Treatment Services, and we are staffed by the Center for Collaborative Planning and the Public Health Institute.
Okay, so first section, why do youth drink alcohol or use marijuana? We can go next slide.
Okay.
Oh, sorry. Okay. All right, so here's just information that we've collected. Curiosity, peer pressure, stress, mental health, and boredom. Other reasons, everyone is doing it, peers, family members, or so they think, related peer pressure, fun with friends, making them feel grown up, the media, movies, popular shows, social media, to feel independent, to feel good in the short term, to feel more relaxed, misinformation, or other reasons as well why kids drink or use marijuana. Few more. The marijuana industry is borrowing strategy from the big tobacco. In here you can see a lot of pictures in bright colors and people we know, such as Snoop Dogg. It says manipulating potency and increasing the risk of addiction and psychosis. Creating products aimed at attracting youth, like flavored products. Shameless and misleading marketing of products. Again, we see like nerds in the background. We see bright colors. We see in the back of the top circle, we see like almost Humpty Dumpty, but with like bright purples and yellows and reds in the background. Of course, we all know Snoop Dogg is like a national icon, so we know who he is. For those most of us that might know who he is, music industry actor, involved in a lot of things, especially in the urban community and the minority community. He's known very well around the world to a lot of people. Next one. Thank you.
There we go. Oh, having some troubles here, you guys. Hang on.
All right. It says, why do kids drink alcohol or use marijuana? Products have flavors, colorful packaging, follow trends, resemble everyday items. If you can see here, definitely in our pictures, you see a picture of a unicorn. Looks like it's in a pool. And you see the buzz balls, bright colors again. We see the reds, the oranges, the pinks. Down below, you see some different examples of like infused drinks. They have like the hard seltzers, all the colors. Summer, spring day look like just so refreshing. However, these can be definitely misunderstood or misjudged by youth or children in stores or at parties, events on something that they can partake in when these are all alcoholic beverages for adults. The marijuana industry is borrowing again strategy from big tobacco. Here you can see in the top of the diagram with a picture of weed maps in Sacramento County. These firms create a feeling of desire, aspiration among young people by associating themselves with youth culture, adventure, and lifestyle. The strategy in the form of marketing increase brand visibility and shapes perceptions and preferences that influence buying decisions for the young generation. You can see there's an actual hand, an app Get Social with Blue, how to purchase some of these products as well. And on the map, you see all the different locations within the Sacramento County area or delivery drop-off locations that these companies run in Sacramento. So this is actually here in our city currently. Billboard marketing. Billboard marketing marijuana products to the youth have been found throughout Sacramento County, mostly in neighborhoods primarily populated by Black, Latino, and Southeast Asian immigrant families. These photos are from a report on this issue by You Forward. These photos here, if you can see them, very bright. This top right one says dank. It almost looks like it's in gummy worms shape form, right? Bright yellow background. The other one says lemonade, South Sac. However, that is not a lemonade stand for everybody. That is an infused lemonade stand, which is located not far from my house on 47th Avenue in Sacramento. In the bottom right, it's a young lady. It says feel better, hugs. But if you read a little smaller, it says adult use and medical cannabis. And that's in Stockton Boulevard as well, which is South Sacramento location, which is also, again, heavily populated by Black, Latino, and Southeast Asian immigrant families.
Does anyone have any questions or comments so far? Okay. And Seda and JT will keep an eye on the chat.
Yes, feel free to put anything in the chat as well. Why is marijuana a problem? So here we go, a little more detailed information. Legal age to purchase marijuana and consume it in California is 21 and over. Health and safety concerns, it affects their brain development, poisoning as well, perception as natural, healthy with low risk of harm. Youth often used to reduce stress and anxiety. Marijuana can actually increase your anxiety. Stays in the body up to several weeks, testing positive. It can impact sports, scholarship, and employment on many different levels. We also tell this to a lot of our students as well as our parents, just to let them know as far as performance-based employment, education, scholarship opportunities for athletes on different sports or where you're located. Um, those can affect those goals and those things that they aspire to be at an earlier age.
Yeah, and then depending on the amount of marijuana or how often you've been using, it, as JT pointed out, it stays in the body up to several weeks. It can actually stay in the body up to 30 days and tested by hair. And so this is important for our young people to be aware of when making some decisions about, like JT said, a scholarship they're going after or a job opportunity. Um, this can impact one of their life goals. So why is it a problem? Well, here it is. Your brain actually still develops until the age of 25. And so if you see in the first picture of the brain, the 5-year-old brain, versus next to it is a preteen brain. And we can see it's just sliding over the teen brain. And then the very last picture is a 20-year-old brain. So in those, the areas of the red and yellow parts of the brain are less mature and they're still under development versus the blue and purple parts of the brain are more fully matured. And that is obviously around the age of 25. Important thing to know is that while it's still in that red and yellow developing stage, there's some key things that are happening in young people. They don't have the ability to always make the best informed decisions. As that frontal lobe, the front part of your brain, is the last to develop. This is really crucial to know when they're deciding to get behind a wheel. They're not using always the best common sense or best ability to make a rational decision because their brain isn't fully there yet as far as development. And then I also wanted to point out that as your brain is still developing and your young person is choosing to engage in marijuana use on a frequent basis, they can actually lose IQ points, up to 8 points, and which you can't reverse that. So you can't actually get those points back once you've lost them. And it's up to it's 1 to 8. That's a big deal to me and to our health providers to lose eight points of IQ. And know that you can stop from losing those IQ points if you're choosing to not engage in marijuana use, but you can't reverse it. So you can't undo it and get those points back. And so here's like a little better breakdown of the brain up close. It's just that number one, we have the frontal lobe, which is the cerebral cortex. Two, we have the amygdala. And three, we have the hippocampus. So the command cerebral is where we like take commands. And then the anxiety is our amygdala, where like we experience those emotions. And then there's the hard drive where we store information, and that's the hippocampus. So all three of these sections are still under development, which is why we really advocate for young people if they are going to engage in marijuana use that they wait until 25. And we all know that marijuana is legal over the age of 21, but we don't want to see any young people using it before 21. But I advocate for waiting till 25 just so that your brain is fully developed. When we continue the conversation of why alcohol is a problem, it's the same for marijuana. Your brain is still under development. There's the ability to make safe choices. We often using underage drinking causes, us to be subject to pregnancy and sexual transmitted diseases, alcohol poisoning, cancer, risk of addiction increases the earlier you start. We have some examples on here that are like commonly seen beverages at a party or at your house. And the latest one that kind of gets us is that Jarritos, which is supposed to be a soda for young people or for old, for us who love to indulge in a soda, but this is actually the hard version of it and it has alcohol. And then we have the Mike's lemonade, which also looks very refreshing. This is all going back to that marketing of who are they marketing? It's our young people. It's not going after us adults because we young people like the different flavors and things that remind them of candy and childhood. And so to me, that's very alarming because it gets to be difficult to determine which is which is okay for me to drink, which is okay for adults to have, but kids, there's this fuzzy line. So it's really important to be having conversations with your young people and really having a plan when you as an adult are having adult beverages at your party or family gathering or reunion or celebration. There are legal issues. Fines up to $10,000 for driving under the influence of alcohol or drugs, which include counseling and community service, driver's license suspension. You might lose your job. Parents may be held legally responsible for any accidents that occur. I'm going to repeat that again. Parents may be held legally responsible for any accidents that occur if your child is driving under the age of 21 or under the age of 18. If they get into an accident, they don't have a license, and they're your legal dependent, you could possibly be responsible for their actions. So here's a little pop quiz. Help us out in the chat if you would. We forgot to mention that we do have a little incentive today. We're giving away two $10 Starbucks gift cards, but we really need your participation in order to give those away. So in smoked form, what is the highest THC level we see today? THC is the psychoactive ingredient in marijuana that gets you high. So are you thinking it's A, 99%, B, 34%, C, 22%, or D, 3%? And I'll have to rely on my colleagues to read the chat.
So far we have one A and one B, or two Bs,
Oh, okay.
three Bs.
Give me a few more seconds. All right, I'm going to reveal our answer here. So this isn't your grandmother's weed. This is not like the back in the day weed that you might have occasionally used just for a little fun, and you were like, what is the big deal? What's the big deal is the potency is concerning, and it is impacting our mental health, and it has actually become poisoning to, young people and to adults, depending on how much you've taken in. So in the 1980s, we had 2% to 4% of THC level, which again, that's the psychoactive active ingredient that gets you high. And then today in smoked form, we have 34%, but in like butane and hash oils, it's as much as 99%. And also that's like edibles and vapes. Super scary. This is where we get into a situation of students having a psychotic experience or the psychosis state because they've just really inhaled way too much THC that their body can handle. And then also with these high THC levels is becoming a higher addiction rate, especially as we're a young person, you're more likely to become addicted as you're in that adolescence area versus you being an adult who's over 25. I just a little bit of talking about edibles and vaping. In 2023, California Youth Advocacy Network conducted listening sessions with youth on marijuana. 100% of youth who reported current use reporting using multiple modes of delivery, including a joint, blunt, pipe, bong, vape, edible. Current users report joints and edibles as most popular, and occasionally users report vaping as much as most popular. So we just really keep talking to young people about the impacts of edibles. It's the number one reason why young people are at the emergency is because they have ingested an edible, sometimes not knowing what it is, or sometimes knowing exactly what it is, but not understanding how an edible works. The edibles are absorbed through your liver because you're ingesting it, and it like tackles it kind of like clings on to the fat parts, right? And so it takes a little while as it moves through the system when you are having an edible. And so where most people go wrong is they have a little bite, maybe it's a brownie, and they have a little bite and they don't feel anything. And so they wait a few seconds and then they just, I'm just going to finish off the whole brownie. Well, now we're in big trouble because we don't really know how much THC is in a brownie, or unless it came from a dispensary, which is not where young people are getting their products. They're getting it from off the street. They're getting it from friends or taking it from a family member or from someone's house that they visited. And so we don't know how much THC is in it. So where they might have had that one little bite, maybe they didn't feel affected. Also, because time is pushing through your system, then we are in a situation where we are very high because we've ingested so much THC, as we talked about, that it could be as in 99% form. There is a range. And so it's our job to just really keep educating young people about healthy decisions when we talk about don't just take snacks and treats from everyone. When people bring things to school, make sure you trust them. Make sure we don't take anything from a stranger. Make sure you ask questions before you eat something. And it's not just eating now. We also have edibles come in liquid form. So they are in drinks, infused THC drinks. We know that this is legal for parents. So this isn't an attack on you as a parent who obviously is 21 and older, or may be approaching 21 and older. But it is illegal for young people to have these, and it is your responsibility and caregivers and people like myself to make sure that our young people don't have access to these edibles. And so we'll use example of like a little brother or a little sister getting into an edible stash and the risks that come with that, or a pet. And so it's just a responsibility that we have as adults to make sure that our young people don't have the access. A little fun activity before I hand over the next part of our presentation to my colleague Seda. So in this picture, there are vapes. I'm wondering if you can guess how many vapes you see. They are hidden in plain sight. Some of them are up front, but some are hidden in plain sight. So if you could add the number to the chat and help us out, we would appreciate it.
3, 7, 8, the 3 and 4.
I'll give you a few more seconds if you want to take a guess. Thanks, JT. All
6
right.
in there.
Oh, would you say JT?
Yeah, so we got one that says 6. That was our last one, probably.
Okay.
Thank you.
So there are six vape products. So the last submission was correct, and here they are. Um, right here across from the tape, this little bar, that is a vape. It's just kind of leaning against the little organizer there. This yellow highlighter, that is also a vape. Then we move up and there's this little blue pen. It looks like a pen, but it is a vape. Crossing over to this little device that looks like a blue highlighter, that is also a vape. And then moving down to the little dish, this is a little vape in the corner. It looks kind of like an eraser, but it is just a little tiny vape. So as you see, these vapes are hidden in plain sight, and we wonder, why are they look so much like the things that would find on my child's backpack or in on their desk. And that is because the industry is really trying to make sure that these items are hidden in plain sight and they become more attractive for the buyer who is trying to possibly hide a vape in your home. So just to kind of be aware, and I know there's some young people on this call, but for parents, this is a conversation we're having with you on things that are hidden in plain sight, and to just be aware and be looking out for them. And then it's an opportunity to have a conversation on why these things are in your home. And one last little quiz. I'm sure that you all have heard about fentanyl, and fentanyl is a synthetic opioid, and it's up to 50 times stronger than heroin and 100 times more potent than morphine. Fentanyl has been found in vapes and joints. Users cannot know the strength of fentanyl in these vape cartridges, which can lead to death. Very scary, and they are also looking very much like candy. Um, they mimic some candy that are out on the market. They look very attractive and fun and yummy, or mints or whatever. And Again, this is this industry really marketing our young people. So we talk a lot about why we should only take medicine from a trusted source, and medication really should only come from your parent or your doctor. So my last pop-up quiz is if one of these sugar packets was full of fentanyl, how many people could it kill? A, 20, B, 100, C, 225, and D, 500. If you could put your guess in the chat, we'd love that.
500, 500 twice, 225, 100.
Great. Thank you for participating, guys. The answer is 500. One little packet of sugar that you might put in your coffee or tea. If it were full of fentanyl, it could kill 500 people. That's how potent this drug is, how deadly this drug is. And we will leave you with this. One pill can kill. So it's best that you don't, your young people should not be, we usually don't have a, but here we actually do not take pills that are not from your doctor or your parent. And I will hand it over to Seda.
Thank you. So you're probably wondering, what can you do, right? So one of the biggest protective factors is to stay involved in your child's life. Research shows that when parents are present and make it clear that they do not approve of underage drinking or marijuana use, their kids are less likely to try it. It's important to notice changes in your kids' behavior. So some warning signs you can look out for are mood changes, school problems, switching friend groups, if they're acting distant or saying things like nothing matters. These can all be signs that like something is off. And if you do find like alcohol or marijuana, that's obviously a red flag that is worth paying attention to. And then for marijuana specifically, some kids may seem more irritable or restless, have appetite changes, like experiencing cravings, struggle sleeping. These are all things that can show up to 2 weeks after their last use. So even if they stop using, these symptoms linger for like another couple of weeks as like it's still going through your body. So kids are always watching what like adults around them are doing. So if you drink or use marijuana, the message should always be that it's done responsibly. So not too much and not too often and never before driving. It also helps to be really clear that alcohol and marijuana are off limits for your child at home. So like not providing it or normalizing the use in any way. If there is a substance use issue in the home, getting help is also part of being a strong role model. So you can support your child by giving them room to grow while still keeping structure in place. So like allowing them room to build independence, but keeping clear rules, and then knowing where they are, who they're with, and staying connected to people in their lives. It also helps to keep them involved in healthy activities like sports, hobbies, volunteering, working, or just being engaged in family life. Not letting them go to parties where alcohol or marijuana are being used, including at your own home. And then an additional step that can be taken is talking with parents of your kids' friends about what their policies are, and then sharing what your rules and expectations are, just so everyone is aware of what is going on and like knowing where you stand. Um, So when it comes to talking to your kids, small conversations work better than one big conversation at one time. So starting like when they're young and continuing those conversations as they get older, just to keep that streamline of like communication open and helping normalize it. You're building that trust so that they're comfortable coming to you if anything ever does come up. Try to listen first, so let them know that you're paying attention and like really hear them. You can share like why you care, give them reliable information, and talk through what could happen if they drink or use marijuana. So, like, what those consequences are. It also helps to make a plan together so they know what to do if they're ever offered something. And then obviously, like, these conversations can feel awkward to start, but they're really important to have. If you need like resources on how to start those conversations, there are like a lot online, and we have a number of resources linked on our website as well, that we'll share at the end.
All right. A few more questions. We're just going to test your knowledge of this section right here. Again, keep using the chat. Thank you for that. At what age does a young person's brain stop developing? Does anybody remember that? You can type in the chat, or if you're willing to say something verbally, go ahead and hop in there. Yep, 25, 25, 25. All righty. Number two says, how long does marijuana stay in a user's system? 30 days. Very good. 30 days. 30 days. And also want to iterate on that question, also determine about also the user's body fat, right? The marijuana sticks to your fatty cells, so your BMI is very important to how long it stays as well to that tissue. If one of the sugar packets was full of fentanyl, how many people could it kill? 500. Very good. Very good. 500. Everybody's on top of it. All right. Last one. It says, can parents be held legally responsible for youth who drink or drive under the influence of marijuana or other drugs? Yes, they can. Yes, yes, they can. Thank you. Thank you. All right, definitely want to. This was a adamant version of our presentation. We do have some that are more detailed, or definitely in person. We go along and do some more back and forth. But thank you guys for this. So, if you guys have any questions or concerns, but also want just more information, maybe visual or emailed stuff as well, you can follow us at on our social media page, which is at Be Bothered. Also, the website is right there, www.bebotheredmovement.com as well. And you also have Sandy and I email right there for your liking as well. But we post a lot of content on our social media pages about events in the community, also awareness information. Like tomorrow's Fentanyl Awareness Day, so we'll have a post going throughout our pages as well. So please follow and share and encourage your youth or your other families to follow us as well for just helpful tips and information on marijuana, alcohol prevention, and drug prevention, and also mental health.
So we're gonna just bring it back around and allow you the opportunity to ask any questions.